Ravens flock. The flock rundown is the place to be. My man Ryan has been a lifelong Ravens fan since he was born. So I'm telling you now, it's about to go down. The podcast, the flock rundown. Ravens, baby. Nothing gets better than waking up and wondering how high we can fly. Tune in.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.
Appreciate you, Ray. What's up, Ravens fans? My name is Ryan, and welcome back to another episode of the Flock Rundown. So I've been seeing all over the internet, all over my comments, all over X, a ton of Ravens fans are tired of John Harbaugh. So I really just wanted to pose the question, and I'll give my opinion as well, but should John Harbaugh be on the hot seat? Should the Ravens think about moving on from John Harbaugh? Obviously, they haven't won a Super Bowl since 2012, so that's 12 years ago, and weren't having a ton of success after the Super Bowl until Lamar came, and then we still haven't been able to maximize that and convert that to a Super Bowl. So should the Ravens be thinking about making a head coaching change? Or is it not really all John Harbaugh? Now, I'll just give you my opinion right off the bat. They should not move on from John Harbaugh. And now that might get a lot of backlash. I know every time I say anything positive about the Ravens or John Harbaugh, everyone's attacking, saying that he's the reason that we're being held back. But I just disagree. I'm not saying he doesn't play a part in that. I'm not saying that he couldn't do a better job. I think everyone can do a better job. You know, I don't think that he's perfect or any coach is perfect. Is he the best coach in the NFL? No, probably not. But he's up there and the players love him. I think that's always a huge thing. You know, John Harbaugh has always been somebody that players love to play for, and that speaks volumes. He has won a Super Bowl, albeit 12 years ago. I totally understand the pressure for more success, but this NFL landscape is so competitive. It's so difficult. And the fact that the Ravens are in the playoffs basically every year. I know a couple years ago we had a ton of injuries and we didn't make it, but really every year we're in the playoffs, and especially since Lamar got there. And that has to speak for something. The fact that you're always in it, you're always competing. I understand we want a Super Bowl bad. You know, we're used to success to a certain extent, but then we're not used to consistently getting over the hump like the Patriots used to or the Chiefs are now. But those are such rare teams, man. Like dynasties like that are so rare. And the Ravens do have the potential to create one of those dynasties, honestly. They really do. And could the coaching be better? Could the management of the coaching be better, especially in crucial situations? Absolutely. I'm not arguing that. Obviously, the AFC Championship is fresh on our mind, and we went away from the run game, and Harbaugh has some blame in that for sure. I know Todd Monken's calling the plays and probably deserves a chunk of that blame. Lamar deserves a lot of blame in that game. He was not his best self by any means. And John Harbaugh deserves some blame, but there's a lot of blame to go around. I don't think we can single out John Harbaugh and say that he's bringing the team down or holding the team back. Now, we know he's not a play caller, so he hires that. You know, he hires the defensive coordinator and offensive coordinator and builds out the coaching staff. And I think he's done an incredible job. You know, maybe holding on to Greg Roman for 1 year too long is something that we can gripe about. But he's done an incredible job building coaching staffs. I mean, look at last year's coaching staff. They got plucked by the rest of the league, especially on defense, and for good reason. He made incredible hires. And he's a great CEO. He's a great leader of the team, a great hirer, and a great manager of those hires to create winning football. And we win. We had the best record in the NFL last year. That is not a recipe to be on the hot seat or to be fired. Playing really smart and executing at a very high level, especially in crucial situations when the season's on the line or there's a ticket to the Super Bowl. And there's definitely room for improvement. I mean, basically everyone but Andy Reid and the Chiefs right now have a ton of room for improvement, and the Ravens are one of those teams, but they're right there. So I don't think moving on from John Harbaugh makes us better. And I know there's going to be a lot of people in the comments that disagree, and I really want you to present your argument in the comments. Let's have a conversation about this, because I hear you. I hear it. I hear the frustration. I want to get over the hump too. You know, I want this team to win multiple Super Bowls and become a dynasty like Kansas City. I think that we are right there knocking on the door and totally have the potential to consistently win Super Bowls over this next 5 to 10 year run. But I believe John Harbaugh is capable of leading this team to that. Now, I'm also evaluating fairly on a year-to-year basis. My opinion is subject to change based off results. If we're struggling this year and things aren't working and the team maybe isn't as cohesive or locked in or playing hard as they usually do, then absolutely we can reevaluate this conversation. But body of work and where we sit today, I just don't see how it's that smart for the Ravens to move on from John Harbaugh. I don't think that bringing the same core back is a terrible thing. I think that you learn from last year and you go back to work and then you get to the Super Bowl this year. Let's move on to some things that are actually happening. Arthur Maulet re-signed with Baltimore on a 2-year deal. I think that's a great signing, solid depth piece. He was physical, played well in the slot. We're going to have our Darius Washington, Pepe Williams. We'll see how he comes back. I'm not sure. We didn't see a lot of him. And then Arthur Maulet in that slot conversation, and I think we could still add a piece there, whether that be through the draft or a veteran in free agency later on as the offseason continues to roll out. The Ravens are going to make some savvy moves as this offseason plays out. They also just signed Chris Board back, so special teams superstar. We had him on our team for 4 years, I believe. So welcome back, Chris Board. Excited to have him back as well. Ravens haven't made any major splashes outside of Derrick Henry, but they don't really usually play ball that way. You know, I think that these veteran signings are usually the route that they go because they find value. The longer someone's sitting on the free agent market, usually the cheaper it is. And you could find some great players. You know, last year we picked up Jadeveon Clowney and then Kyle Van Noy in the season, and they became our best pass rushers. So it's smart. And speaking of Clowney, he visited with the Panthers. Then now today he's visiting with the New York Jets. So we'll see what comes of that. I hope he leaves without a deal and comes back to Baltimore soon, because I really feel like Clowney is such a nice piece to keep around for a little bit. I'm sure he's trying to maximize his earnings and explore what other options are out there. I know the Jets have been aggressive recently in free agency, so I always felt like Clowney was our best option for price and production, and we know his production. I mean, he just played for us last year and had a career year. And I made a video on Chase Young last week saying if Clowney signed elsewhere, that Chase Young may be a backup option, but he ended up signing with the Saints, 1 year, $13 million, fully guaranteed, which is steep to guarantee that much. And I don't think the Ravens would have ever ponied up a fully guaranteed $13 million cap hit for 1 year. But I know they looked into the idea of acquiring Young, and from what I've been reading, it seemed like they were kind of concerned about his neck injury, and he is having neck surgery. So that makes a lot of sense why they might stay away, and it wasn't that cheap. Congrats to Chase Young. He got a deal with the Saints, and I'd rather Clowney come back anyway, so it doesn't hurt me that bad. And then Kevin Zeitler signed a 1 year, $6 million deal with the Lions, which I thought was an incredible value. At that value, I would have rather have just kept him. Then we wouldn't have had to eat the dead money, and we could have had him for a smaller base salary than he deserves, in my opinion. So I don't know. We'll see what we do with our offensive line. That's a huge conversation right now. We obviously lost our left guard, and right tackle. Now we do have some options on the roster already. I'm hearing a lot of hype about Voorhees. He could come in and plug right into the guard spot and start. So we'll see how that plays out. I think he has a ton of upside. And then we have the draft. We still have free agency. There's going to be cuts. You know, there's a lot of the offseason yet to play out still, and the Ravens are going to build this roster all the way until September. So there's no way of knowing exactly how this is going to play out as we sit here today. But I trust that Eric DeCosta is going to put a lot of energy and focus into building this offensive line to become even stronger than it was last year. There's no way that we're just going to let these guys go and be like, all right, we believe in what we have, and we're just going to roll with Falele and Ben Cleveland and Voorhees. Like, I could see one of those kind of panning out to be the option, mainly probably Voorhees or Ben Cleveland at guard. I'm excited to see what moves the Ravens make over these next few months and really build this roster out and try to create a Super Bowl winning team, a dynasty potentially, like we were talking about earlier in the episode. So let me know what your guys' thoughts are about all the free agent signings and the John Harbaugh situation and conversation. I know that's going to be a big one. But as always, guys, I appreciate you tuning in to another episode of the Flock Rundown. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'll talk to you guys next time.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.